Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if this is your first time here. Today I'm going to be doing a full walkthrough of the Fablemakers animated tarot deck. This is from the Kickstarter that was called the Deck of Many, animated spell cards and animated tarot deck. I am very excited to be bringing this to all of you. So let's get into it. So first off, I backed this deck of cards on Kickstarter somewhere in the ballpark of 3 years ago. So it's been a long time coming. I think it might have been more like 2.5 years, but we're definitely just about a year overdue on the project. So that gives you an idea of how long it's been ongoing. But it's very, very innovative and different. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that you will use actively and shuffle and like pull cards from, or if this is the kind of thing that will be more of a novelty. But in any case, it's really cool and I can't wait to get into it with you. So this is a, I got the actual basic set, which just comes like this. It's a box set with the cards and a book. But I did also add to my pledge the bigger guidebook. So I do have the big full hardbound guidebook for this deck, which is really lovely. Has like gilded pages and a ribbon bookmark and all that kind of stuff. So we will get into this, but really the star of the show in this case are the cards. So let's open up the set. Now I'm assuming that you can purchase this or pre-order it in some way, and I will have it linked down below, but I really wanted to take a tour and just show you guys this gorgeous creation. So it does come with quite a lovely, actually included guidebook with just the base set. I really wanted the bigger guidebook, but as you can see, it's not a skimpy guidebook. So you get a lot of great information in here, but the minor arcana, you actually only get some real basic information. So the majors get a lot more, the minors get a lot less, but we're going to get into that. And then I'll show you the differences between the two. Now, when you get this deck, or when I got this deck, most of the cards had a thin adhesive plastic protective sheet on them. So I have gone through, actually my son was over and we went through and took the adhesive off of all of the cards. It is in this divided tray with this firm foam thing. Definitely not going to keep them in there because that would be just a pain. And it is heavy, you guys. This is heavy and it's quite thick because these are plastic and they are, I think it's called reticulated. They're reticulated, they are animated, and I'll show you what that means. But this is how thick this deck is. And for comparison, here is my Tarot of Oneness in its box. So you can get an idea of just how thick this is. Like, to me, I don't know if it'll be shuffleable. We will try, but I'm not sure if I'll have to break it up into smaller piles. So the box, while beautiful, is probably not where my deck is going to live. And also because when you have a deck like this, or a box like this, let me just show you this real quick. This little foam insert comes out, which unfortunately does mean that when you put your cards in there, they do like to kind of try to sneak under that foam insert. If this was fully glued down, it might be a little bit better. On the other hand, then if it was glued down and something got stuck, it'd be annoying to get it out. So lesser of two evils is probably for it to be loose. But they did have the kind of packaging that will certainly protect the cards. It's also worth pointing out, this has 5e on the front. This was created with gamers in mind, with Dungeons and Dragons in mind. So there is that element of it. And they created, as part of this campaign, a whole bunch of little spell decks that were meant to be used with role-playing games. But in any case, the campaign was really successful. I'm actually going to, I think for this, keep the stack of cards off to the side, zoom us in, and bring each one in so you can see it. I'll do it that way rather than the usual way because they are animated. Let me show you what I mean. So here's our Fool. And hopefully you can see. I'm going to stand up so I can make sure I can see my viewfinder and we can make sure we can see the animation. Yes, we can. So there's a swirl of air up here. The cape flows. It's really a stunning effect, and the animation is smoother, I would say, in person than you see on video, but it's really quite cool. So there's our Fool. Oh, and this is what the backings of the cards look like. And again, they are plastic, so of course they're fully waterproof. This kind of reticulation can scratch. They recommend sleeving the cards, which I will never do, or I won't use it. Then we have our Magician, and we can see the tools. Again, the cape moves. Yeah, it's up and down more than side to side that makes the animation go. The High Priestess. We have like little bits of decor that are going in the background here. There's also the ripples of the water move. So those are leaves from the pomegranates. Our Empress. I just had to show this in person because the effect is really, really, really stunning. It's definitely been worth the wait. The art is beautiful. It's really an immersive way to look at the cards. They do come alive in your hands, which I think is really special. Here's the Emperor. Those of us from the 80s and 90s will remember that this was a really powerful, or not powerful, really popular thing, but they were not this advanced. When you had a reticulating card like this, you would get like, it would flash between two images. This has got to be like 8 or 9 different, like, if you look, 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I don't know how many to get that smooth animation to go. Beautiful, beautiful. Here's the Lover's card. The Chariot. I love that the Chariot actually gets to move. That's really great. The cape flaps in the breeze. So I don't know if this is the kind of thing that I'm going to use for readings or if it would be too distracting. I guess we'll see. It'll probably depend a lot on the shuffle when we get through all the cards. Here's our Hermit card. And I guess since I'm holding the cards up, we can zoom out and it won't matter. That's probably better. Love all the air moving. The Wheel of Fortune. I wish the wheel itself moved, but I don't know how you can do that with this up-down style of animation. Justice. The Hanged Man. Death. Temperance. I hope that the camera picks the effects up. Some of them are subtler than others. I think particularly in the minor arcana, the effects are more subtle. The Devil. It's just incredible to have a moving card like this, though. This is a really powerful effect because that lightning really flashes on the card. Look at that, the glow. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. The Star. The Ripples of Water. The Moon. They go up to howl. Howl, howl. Love that. The Sun. Love all the rays of the sun circling. It's really pretty. Judgment. And the World. All right, so that's the majors. Now for the wands. Love the magic swirling. The Two of Wands. Three. Four. Love that they're dancing. How cool is that? If you hold the card still, you can see that the image is really, really clear and sharp. It's not like it's blurry because it's animated, if that makes sense. Depending on your viewing angle, once you start moving it around a bunch, it can look just slightly blurry. But actually, I find the animations really smooth and the image is really sharp. I just love how alive it makes the tarot. Here's our Seven of Wands. 8. 9. 10. 'Page of Wands. 'Knight of Wands. I love the light coming up his wand there. Queen of Wands. Now these aren't fully matte because they have that articulated clothing. So if I get the light, you can see that you get some glare. I don't mind. King of Wands. I love all the like energy and magic that swirls around the Wands cards. So that's the Wands. Next up we have Swords. There's the 2. I love the water sort of moving behind her, the waves. And all of her hair sort of blowing in the wind. You really get that sort of almost sort of stormy feeling or the beginnings of a storm. Here's the Three of Swords, very classic. This is very much a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. There's not a whole lot of exciting like differences to the imagery, but it's pretty easy to read. The swords glow in that one. Here's the 5. The 6. It's almost unreal, the animations, because you don't have to do much to see them, right? Like they just go. Love the movement in that one. The 7. 8. You can kind of hear the sound of that reticulated. This has got a slight kind of texture to it. There's our 8. Our 9. You can see the little fight happening down here in the bed frame. And the 10. I'm not seeing it on this one. Hold on, let me look. So the swords themselves have a subtle animation. The sun behind has an animation. Most of the rest is pretty still on this card. The Page of Swords. Love all the air movement. The Knight of Swords. Very fast moving air for sure. Love that. The Queen of Swords. And the King of Swords. I feel like the only movement I'm really seeing, there's a little bit of a flash to his sword. There's a little bit on his, the edging of his robes here, and then a little bit on his crown. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty still card. And then we go to cups. We have the Ace of Cups. We really get the sort of splashes of water down here and the bird flying up above, like flapping its wings. The 2. The sun and the sparkles in the cups. The flapping of her headdress here. Some party vibes. Party, party, party. Love it. 4 of Cups, or chalices, I guess. The 5. You really see that all the cups water is sparkling, but I feel like these 2 cups sparkling is highlighted. 6 of Chalices. Lots of little swirls of air. I kind of feel like that was their go-to when they weren't sure what to animate. But I love these little flowers kind of closing and opening in the cups. That's really cool. The 7 of Cups. Lots of little elements moving. The snake is moving. These gems are sparkling. This dragon is moving. The ghost's sheet is moving. And then, of course, the clouds and this person's head as they kind of look from one cup to another cup. It's a cool effect. The 8 of Chalices. The 9, dude with wine. Nothing super innovative here, and the cloth moves behind. 10 of Chalices. Love the shine that comes across the rainbow and the little dancing kids or playing kids there. That's super cute. The Page. The Knight. The Queen. What is sparkling here? Or just really just her cup and the sun rays, and there's a little bit of water lapping at her feet. The King. We definitely get some water. Oh, and there's a fish that jumps right there. Hope I can get the focus. There we go. There's the fish. Leap. And there's a boat kind of on the tumultuous seas in the background. That's really cool. And then we're on to Pentacles. So we have our Ace of Pentacles, and the Pentacle spins in their hand. The 2 of Pentacles. Pentacles are still spinning. Lots happening here, though. We see the water. Look at this ship being tossed around back here in the background. The robes are moving. Here's the 3 of Coins, more spinning. The 4 of Coins. Just hugging and like sort of rocking that one singular coin to their chest. That's super great. And then the one on top spins. The 5 of Coins. All that snow. Oh. The 6 of coins. The 7. The 8. The 9. Spin, 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 spin. Love it. 10. Lots of spinny coins. Love the wagging tails on the dogs. That's pretty great. The page of coins. The knight. The queen. Is that, oh my God. Bunnies. Bunny. There's a bunny hopping over here. I love that. And then the king with his spinning coin. The vines are kind of moving and trailing all around him in an active way. That's super cool. Okay, so now I'm going to sit down. I had to stand up for that so I could actually see that the effects were translating on camera. So let's see if I can actually shuffle this. I haven't tried yet. So it is plastic, which can be pretty pliable. I'm not sure if my hands can do it. Let's try. Okay, that could have been a lot worse. Let's try breaking it up though, because I feel like that's definitely going to hurt my hands. So let me shuffle these together. They don't feel quite as even as a regular cut card would feel, if that makes sense. And you can kind of see plastic will have some warping and some shape to it, right? I understand now why they might have said if you're going to be shuffling it to sleeve it, because you can really hear that reticulated surface kind of like hitting the other card. I don't know if I like that sound. I might have to hand over hand this, because that is a really kind of shrieky sound for shuffling. It does hand over hand quite nicely. It is a handful of cards. And again, you guys, it's heavy. Like, I don't know how to describe the weight of it compared to a regular deck, but just imagine holding a big chunk of plastic of this size and you'll kind of have a rough idea of dense plastic. You kind of have a rough idea of what the weight might feel like. It's about the weight to me of like 3 decks, maybe more. But it just definitely has some weight. So let's just see what it looks like if we just lay cards on the table. So I do like the backings. See how they fan. Well, they fan pretty well, actually. And of course, because they are plastic, they are waterproof, in case I didn't mention that. So let's set those to the side there. And let's just see. Yeah, I feel like it looks fine on the table. And then you can kind of pick it up, and as you do, it'll sort of animate on you. I feel like is this the most practical tool ever? No. The deck is heavy. It's a little difficult to shuffle, but it's really, really cool. And so I don't know if this is something, I may actually keep it in the box. I'm kind of tempted because I'm like, will I actually pull this out of a bag on my shelf and use it like a regular deck? I don't know. But is it like kind of a cool tarot toy? Yeah, it is. So let's take a look at the guidebooks. So yeah, that's about 2 even piles there. So let's take a look at the guidebooks. So this is the one that comes with the standard version of the deck. So just to give you an idea, you get a table of contents. They call it the Fablemakers Animated Tarot. You get some information on some spreads and things, some tarot basics with a little glossary, a little bit about intuition and house rules, crafting questions. Okay, so this is talking about... yes. Okay, so this is really coming at it from the gamer's perspective. So it talks about a GM might hesitate to run a game with her favorite pair of socks. A player may insist that no one touches dice. Tarot's not exempt from these kinds of superstitions. Okay, so they're kind of relating it back. So it's not so much about gamings, but they're trying to tell gamers how to work with tarot. Is kind of what it sounds like. Yeah, so here's another example. So crafting questions. It says the same spell cast at 1st level and 5th level may produce similar effects, but one will undoubtedly be more potent than the other. The same is true for the questions you ask your cards. Crafting your questions with intention can mean the difference between feeling lost and feeling empowered. For us gamers, it's the difference between being under the effects of confusion versus guidance. Okay, so this is literally like if you are a D&D gamer and you've never picked up a tarot deck before, it's like written for you, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of kind of fun analogies here and kind of helping you learn how to use the deck, but using gamer speak, if that makes sense, like role-playing gamer speak to sort of help you get your head wrapped around how it works. So that's kind of cool. Oh my gosh. And then it says level 1 tarot. Step 1, prepare the space, craft the question, choose the spread. Then you have, it's literally written like a gamer's table or gamer's guide, which is super fun. Then you have understanding the cards, and then you get into the actual card descriptions. So it is really written like a role-playing tarot guide, which is fun. So you do get, through the majors, you get like a bit of the image, you get the name, you get some primary abilities. Oh my God, okay, so this is funny. I just noticed this. Okay, so for every card you get primary abilities. So for the devil, it's dexterity and charisma. Skill proficiencies, deception and sleight of hand, upright keywords, and reverse keywords. So that's super cute and clever. So those are gaming terms. Obviously, dexterity and charisma are abilities you can have in a role-playing game like D&D. Skill proficiencies would be the kinds of skills you can acquire or start your character with. So that's really kind of fun that they've referenced it back to the game in that way. In the minors, you don't get any of that, though. You get upright and reversed keywords and the thumbnail, and that's basically it. And then at the back of the book, there's information here about licensing and all kinds of stuff. So there's that. In the big book, this is the book that comes with, I think, the deluxe version of the deck, or I just added it on to the basic version of the deck because I didn't need any of the other extras that came with it. So this, let's see what it does differently. So there is a dedication, which is super cool. Love that. Preface, so casting time, range, components, and duration. So there, again, this is like a really cool like hybrid of gaming language with tarot language. So it talks about intuiting animation, identity, imagery, and language. Here's our tarot glossary. This part looks the same as the original book, so I think we're getting the same introductory information for the most part. Yeah, it looks like basically the same. This section looks like it might have not been tarot for real life. I can't remember. Let's see. I can actually just double check. So let's just see. Tarot for real life. Understanding the cards. Oh, maybe not. So you get that section. Some spreads that you don't get in the smaller book, which is great. There's a bunch of them in here. Tarot for players. So as a player and as a character. So it talks about how you can use this deck in gaming. Tarot spreads for players. This, I'm really excited to dig into that actually, because there could be some fun things. And then other spreads for players to try. So these are things like, for example, quick traits, a tarot spread for speedy character creation. So you can draw a card for the character's ideal. So what principle compels my character to action? One for bond, to what person, place, or event is my character most connected? And one for flaw, what vice, fear, or weakness hinders my character? So you can use this deck or any deck for character creations. That's a cool way to like play with it. And then you have class features. This is really cute. Okay, hold on. So the following section provides ways to use tarot during a D&D 5e game well, it just says 5e game to enhance existing class features for each of the core classes. So it tells you how to use this with your game that's really cool. Okay. Feats, tarot for game masters, tarot spreads for game masters. My son is really going to want to look at this. Both of them. Both sons. Other spreads for game masters to try. Adding tarot to your game. The major arcana as NPCs. That's really cool. And then Nova the Fate Breaker is an NPC themed around the tarot and designed for use with the 5th edition core rules. So they have some information here about using Nova the Fate Breaker as an NPC. Okay, this is really cool. I don't even play, like the only time I play D&D is really with my kids and occasionally with a friend or something. But there's information here on a portable altar. Wondrous item, very rare, requires attunement. Okay, sorry, there's more stuff to do with this NPC that they've created. That's really cool. Oh my god, I love that. Okay. Magic items, destroying a Fablemaker tarot deck dungeon challenges. I mean, there's a ton of gamers like information in here that I probably won't use that much, but it's really cool. Definitely gonna have to show that to the kids. And then we get into the cards. Okay, so this is probably the stuff we're the most interested in as tarot readers. So you have a beautiful full color image of the card. You still have the primary ability and skill proficiencies for the gaming element that we talked about in the Fablemakers. Upright keywords, reverse keywords, a write-up. And then there are whispers from the weave, which appear to be like journal prompts or reflection prompts. How have you been holding back? What can you do to go all in? Is there a risk you're taking or something you've considered doing without proper planning? How can you reassess? And there's 5 questions there for each, it looks like, of the major arcana. So now that we get the layout of that, let's see what the minors look like. So the minors are the same, which is great. This is what I wanted. I wanted a full write-up. I love that we get journal prompts. That's super cool. Let's see if there's anything in the back of the book worth pointing out. So we have Queen of Wands, King of Wands. This is a stitch-bound book too. It's a really nice quality book. So you get a section for observations. So some just blank pages in the back, and then we're back to license information here. So really, really, really cool, especially if you're into gaming. I feel like this is such a double use product for you. And the big book, obviously, if you are a gamer, the big book has a lot of really useful stuff for using this game in tabletop role playing for sure. There's a lot of really juicy stuff in there that I probably will not be able to make the most out of, but I'm sure a gamer would. So that's pretty exciting. So if you are a gamer, if you are a role playing gamer and you're thinking about using this in your game, I would definitely encourage you to get the bigger book because it has all of that extra stuff in it, including even just the simple thing of having primary abilities and skill proficiencies for the entire deck instead of just the majors, but then all of that gaming content up front about how you can use this. There's dungeon challenges, there's spreads you can use for character creation and for other aspects of gaming. There's a ton of really good stuff. So that, you know, that's really the difference there is you get almost as much, no more, it looks like, in pre-content in this book than the whole thickness of this book. So lots more stuff for you there. So that is the Fablemakers Tarot. I don't know exactly how this will end up getting used in my collection, but it's really cool. It would be a really great deck if you wanted to just have, like, let's say you wanted to do a month ahead spread and you wanted to lay your cards out on a table and like reflect on them throughout the month. I feel like this would be a really cool one to kind of like pull out and use, because then every time you walk by the spread, you can kind of like move it and look at it. And maybe it's my squirrel brain, but I think the idea of looking at a moving card is really enchanting. But I will say, if you don't sleeve these cards, it's plastic. It will scratch. Like there is 100% it will scratch. And because these have a textured surface, the process of shuffling them will scuff them up. So if that's a concern, and depending on how you want to use it, then you may want to put them in sleeves. But I'll tell you right now, once this is in sleeves, it would be a huge deck, so thick. I think for me, I am going to backtrack and keep mine in its box and put this on a shelf. I just don't see myself putting this in a tarot bag and using it that way, but I definitely love the idea of using it, kind of pulling it out and playing with it or looking at it, which probably sounds really silly, but this just doesn't seem like the kind of thing that I'm going to use regularly for regular readings. I just think it could be potentially even almost a little too distracting. But I like the idea of it. I think it's super fun. It's, again, this to me feels like a tarot toy as opposed to just a general tarot deck. I am mildly annoyed. This is such a silly thing, but like, I feel like, why wouldn't the book be sized to like kind of fit the inside of the box? Like, it's great. You can get it out really easily. So there's that. But I just feel like it should have just been a little taller and a little bit wider to sort of fit in this space more. I don't know. That's just like such a little silly thing that doesn't really matter. But really glad I did get the bigger book for it. And maybe the kids will want to borrow it for a game at some point. So that'd be cool. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me as I went through all the animations in the Fablemakers animated tarot deck. This was a long time coming. The little Kickstarter campaign did come with a little pin, which was really nice. And it also came with a couple of really lovely reading cloths. So there's this one. They're really thin, but I like how they're shaped more for like gaming in a way than for like tarot. But actually this would work really well for a tarot spread. So that is all the goodies that came with it. Super fun. So this was, I think, a worthwhile thing to pick up and play with, and I'm excited to have it, but it will probably have somewhat limited use in my collection. If you picked this up, I'd love to hear how you plan to work with it or use it if you do, or if this is more of a collector's item for you, I'd love to hear. And for all of you, thank you so much for hanging out. Extra big thank you goes out to the Unicorn fam for all of your support of the channel. Thank you so much. We have a lot of fun in membership. Feel free to join us. There's a link down below. As always, thank you all so much for your likes and comments and subscribes and all the things that you do to engage with my content here on YouTube. It really makes a huge difference. As always, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye.